Welcome back, everybody. Now, we've been focusing in on some of the marine life here, but I think really a great deal of attention needs to be given to the penguin population. Listen to the statistic. Only 2% of the original African penguin population remains. That is a devastating stat if I've ever heard one. A recent oil spill here in Algoa Bay further threatened the habitat and lives of these penguins. Take a look at this insert.
Bird Island in Algoa Bay has one of the last remaining endangered African penguin breeding colonies in South Africa. Although the population is doing relatively well, the birds and their habitat continues to be threatened.
We recently had a major disaster in the form of an oil spill, and this oil spill is still ongoing. In fact, today the rangers are out collecting more birds. Has affected 115 adult penguins so far and 49 penguin chicks.
Many of the oil penguins on Bird Island were caught and rescued by sandpark rangers. They were put into boxes and taken from the island by boat to the mainland. St. Croix Island, which has the largest breeding colony of African penguins in South Africa, was also affected by the oil spill. Another sandparks rescue team caught even more affected penguins on St. Croix.
Currently we have about 18 oil penguins, two which is injured. Most of them were collected on an island named as St. Croix, and we have removed a few penguins, about 5 from Bird Island, 2 which was injured and 3 which was oil. So what will happen today, we bring them, we stabilize them on the islands before they are removed. This will be for dehydration. We will inject them in fluid, we will tube them for feeding and stuff like that.
The group of oiled and injured penguins were immediately rushed to SAMREC to start the rehabilitation process.
The process that we went through now was bringing them in. We weigh them just so that we can have a look at how healthy they are, as well as be able to prescribe medication at a future stage. We then tag them, put little armbands on them with numbers. It allows us to identify individuals. From there, further on later tonight, we will then tube them with Darrow's, which is an electrolyte solution, as well as a bit of activated charcoal, which absorbs the oil inside their system already. For the injured ones, we will probably tube them just straight Darrow's, and then take them to our vet, who will then have a look at them, have a look at their injuries, and see what we can do for them in the future.
The following day, the extremely difficult and labour-intensive process of cleaning and removing the oil got underway.
Now, once we have washed them, we will leave them overnight to just calm down. It's an extremely stressful situation for both the volunteers or handlers as well as the birds. They'll rest for the night. In the morning, we now have to tell them they've got to swim, because a penguin's feathers have to be treated all the time. They will spend 70% of their day preening, getting their feathers into shape normally. Now they've got this disastrous situation. They are not waterproof because we've washed all their natural oils off now. So we can't just take this bird and throw him back into the sea and say, get on with it. He's going to drown because he will just sink. So what we do is we will force him to swim. We have to look after these little guys now for at least 3 weeks, if not longer, until we know they are comfortable, they are waterproofed, and they will be able to cope.
The penguins will be kept at SAMREC until they are healthy, fit and ready to be released back into the ocean. Preventing such disasters so close to their sensitive and threatened habitat in future is of utmost importance if our African penguin is going to survive. Linky Bierman for Morning Live, Bird Island.
Isn't it fascinating to see the work that goes into rehabilitating these penguins? I mean, this is a very difficult job, and the people that are involved in it are just amazing at what they do. Well, let's actually chat to Dr. Lorianne Pitchegru. She's from the Institute for Coastal and Marine Research for the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. Dr. Pitchegru, it's good to have you. Thank you very much for joining us here on the program.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, we talk about 2% of the African penguin population that's left, and this is over, well, you told me a period of 100 years that we've seen this population going down. I mean, this is dramatic.
Yeah, it has been. The main cause was actually the collection of eggs to eat them, and the guano collection back then in the 19th century. So we destroyed their habitat, and we took the eggs away. But now all those threats are gone, luckily. But we've got new threats, so mostly oil spills at the moment, and then a lack of food. So that's what is really threatening the penguins at the moment.
I mean, we talk about the oil spill. I mean, there was one as recently as 3 weeks ago. How bad was it? I mean, what was the effect on the population, that particular spill?
Well, it was a national disaster. We collected more than 150 adults, so it was pretty bad, but it could have been much worse. I think Sandpark did an amazing job, and the people at Kucha and Extreme Project, and they really managed to contain that oil spill very quickly. But still, at the moment, we're counting every single adult counts. We're trying to save everyone. So every oil spill is a disaster for the population.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough question, I suppose, to ask you. But I mean, is there any way of telling how many African penguins are around? I mean, we talk about a diminishing population, but is there a number that we can put to it?
Yeah, we've got 60% of the world population here in Algoa Bay, with St. Croix being the biggest colony, and we must have something like, it was 25,000 penguins.
Okay. And it's deteriorating rapidly.
We actually managed to stabilize the collapse, so it's been decreasing a lot in 10 years, but for the past 5-6 years they've been stable. Yeah. So we're just hoping that they're growing again, but at least we managed to stop them going down.
Yeah, that at least is a positive. It's a very, very positive sign. But the unfortunate thing is, we spoke about it a bit earlier as well, with Sandparks, just saying it's that balance between the blue economy, which we do understand, is that there is money to be made in the seas, and you need it, but to the detriment of the marine life, and it's a fine balance, and it's a balance that needs to be met. I mean, what from your perspective needs to be done?
There's a lot to be done. I think the main thing is to keep the communication going. We have to work together. We ecologists, we can't tell OBC now you can't have a job, you can't develop the country, because that can't work. But we have to work together. So there's always a way to develop jobs in a sustainable manner, in a green way. So at the moment, that's what has been happening. We are working with Kucha, we're working with Sandparks, and we are trying to develop it in a green way. It's always possible. It's a matter of will, and there's actually no choice. We have to do it that way.
Yeah. I mean, is there a nice sort of example around the world that can be used of a blue economy that's thriving, but the conservation side is also thriving, that they manage to work well side by side? Is there an example that we could sort of perhaps almost walk in their footsteps?
I think we must be the example.
Good.
There's a lot of development of herb spots. I don't know if you heard about them. So it's basically, the idea is we are a herb spot, an international herb spot. So we're having a huge amount of biodiversity in the bay that we must maintain, and have the public helping basically, and working together with the institution, stakeholders, and the public to keep together that biodiversity. So that's the idea basically, is to be a leading example in developing a green economy.
Yeah. Well, listen, keep up the great work. I mean, I keep saying that to all of you, but I mean, this is a life mission. It really is, and I mean, you guys are doing such incredible work. But thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Lorraine Pichagru is from. She does the Institute for Coastal and Marine Research at the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. Thanks for being our guest here on the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's take a quick break here on the program, and then when we return, we're going to be saying goodbye to our SABC 2 viewers. Stay tuned.